I just spent the last 3 days in Buenos Aires and took a flight out tonight to come back to Santiago, and tomorrow I will be heading to the Atacama Desert. Buenos Aires and Argentina, it's a place I have always wanted to go to. It was one of my top countries I wanted to visit. And there's something unique about it. You look at Buenos Aires and you can see that the city really was one of the wealthiest places in the world almost a century or a little over a century ago. And it's not the same city today, but there is something special about it. I did all the typical tourist things. I visited coffee shops, very good coffee for the morning. I had the steaks in the evening, the red wine. I don't know if I could live there for an extended period of time. I don't know if I could make a living there. But there is something special about the place. And I almost felt a little bit sad leaving. I almost felt like I could have spent a few more days. I did a couple walking tours. I saw the famous tourist sites. Buenos Aires is definitely an interesting city. So switching gears to tomorrow, I will be heading to the Atacama, if all goes well, a place I've always wanted to go to. I've run into the issue again since I returned to Chile, even though I've been in South America now for a couple of weeks. Every time we come back here, you have to do the PCR test and wait until you get the results. So you do anything. Posed a problem last time. I couldn't make my flight because I didn't have my test in time, and I could be running into the same problem again tomorrow. My flight is at 10 o'clock in the morning. I arrived here at 7 p.m. at night. I feel I'm becoming a little bit more prepared and learning the system a little bit better, or planning a little bit better. I talked to the airline today at the airport. If I can't make the flight tomorrow morning because I don't have the test, I will be able to hopefully catch a later flight. So hopefully all goes well and I will end up in the Atacama tomorrow night. We will see. The adventure continues. Hopefully I am in the desert tomorrow evening.
So I've arrived here in the Atacama from Santiago. I actually had no problems with the flight. So it was interesting. The day I arrived in Santiago from Argentina, I talked to the person at the airline of what I should do because I had technically I had to quarantine until I got my PCR result from the Santiago airport. His response was, if you don't have result yet, show up actually earlier and change yourself to a later flight. In hindsight, I was thinking that was kind of interesting because I'm supposed to be in quarantine, but I would actually be spending like 9 hours at the airport. But I did as I was told. I showed up the next morning a little bit earlier. I talked to them, and actually the person there just said, check in. You're fine. Continue your quarantine in Atacama. And so I'm starting to think that even though there's the very strict rules, I think also here the pandemic is kind of over. I checked into the flight, I got on the plane, no problem. I just wondering, could I have done the same thing a month ago? Maybe attitudes have changed a little bit in the last month, but I arrived in the Atacama. So just a few comments on Atacama. It is very different from anywhere I've been so far, such as Buenos Aires, Santiago, or the south, Patagonia. To be honest, this is very much more what I expected when I came to Chile. This reminds me a lot of Peru and Ecuador, the places I've been before, and this is kind of what I expected when I came down here. I guess it makes sense. I'm back in Incan territory. I'm very close to the Bolivian border, and it's also very high up in the mountains. So this is where the Incans were before.